Hey everybody, this is TotalGamerJunkie. I want to welcome you all back to my channel. So I am here with the next chapter of Life is Strange, Steph's story. So without further ado, let's get started. Dad finally corners me for a family dinner in the most George Gingrich way possible. He sends me an e-bite. It's fireman themed and I can't tell if he picked it to be funny or if he couldn't figure out how to select different options. He promises a home-cooked meal and suggests I bring Izzy. I show it to her thinking we'll have a good laugh and I'll tell him we're too busy, but to my surprise she just says I'd love to, and doesn't even make a fire truck joke. I write back, home cooked by whomst? That whomst, isn't it by whom? What's the ST at the end mean? I don't know. Dad's email comes shortly after as though he's been waiting for my reply. Don't worry, I promise not to burn the salad. And to my surprise, he doesn't. I still remember the time we melted the waffle maker trying to make breakfast in bed on Mother's Day. Mum had to open all the windows and take the batteries out of the smoke alarm, muttering curses under her breath the whole time. Dad was banned from the kitchen after that. From what I can tell, he's mostly subsided on takeout since the divorce. A lifestyle I'm more than happy to take advantage of while living with him. Why is she always putting shit on him? Like, from what I've read so far, the dad doesn't seem like a bad guy, but they're probably going to make him out to be the bad one in this later on. But just from what I've read, like, she's really just putting shit on him for no reason. Alright, where was I? Seeing him in the kitchen wearing an apron is almost enough to send me running back out the door. It's a fairly untouched space. The only appliance that gets any sort of regular traffic is the microwave. Above the stove, sorry, I forgot the comma, is the microwave above the stove. The light grey marble countertops are practically spotless and there's even a bowl of fake fruit on the center island. It looks straight out of a catalogue. In fact, I bet he didn't change a thing from the day he moved in. Check me out, Steph. I'm boiling water. Dad points to the burner, where he is in fact successfully boiling water. With a flourish, he removes the lid from the pot and pours pasta from a cardboard box like he's been doing it for years. Next, you'll tell me you've learned how to turn on the oven. I start to roll my eyes, but then a second head appears from behind him, curly hair pulled into a loose ponytail and sporting a painful, genuine smile. For a moment, my heart drops through the floor. A memory surfaces, gasping and flailing like a drowning victim, bursting to the surface of my brain. My parents, together, laughing over a pot of soup. Mum feeding him some with a big spoon, Dad yelping and frantically fanning his mouth when he burns it on the too hot liquid. I can't even place the memory. Maybe it's not even real, but it hits me like a sneaker wave, and like a sneaky wave, and I barely stay afloat long enough for it to pass. I blink and the memory fades. In its wake, I see reality. Renee, the woman from the gig, his co-worker. Renee waves at me, an oven mitt that definitely doesn't belong to us covering her hand. We've got homemade garlic bread baking. She inhales deeply. Smells amazing, right? Those cooking classes are really paying off. While when she returns to watching the oven, I mouth the words cooking classes at Dad, trying to recapture our usual dynamic. But he's too busy to be mocked by his daughter, watching his pasta boil with an expression of shocked glee. Rude, really, as that's the number one duty of a dad. You're the one who's being rude here. I gotta say, I don't like how this writer is portraying Steph in this. It's making her a bitch. Izzy takes off her shoes behind me and nudges me forward. Where should I put these? She holds up the box of pastries we picked up from Save Point. I usher her over to the kitchen table where there are already place settings laid out. Dishes I don't think I've ever seen before with a gold floral pattern around the edges. I didn't think we had any matching dishware, let alone 4 sets. I've been washing the same ceramic plate and bowl every day, since Dad didn't have very many and all of Mum's nice china was destroyed in the storm. In the center of the table is a bouquet of wildflowers, healthy and pretty dark, dusty rose-colored flowers I don't recognize. Hellebore, says Renee, as she circles over to us to take Izzy's box of pastries. It can be tough to find wildflowers this late in the summer, but I grew these especially in my yard so I can have beauty at my table through the year. I didn't ask, and I'm about to say so when Dad interrupts my thoughts. Isn't it nice to have nature in the house? He asks, leaving his pot of noodles unattended to step out from behind the counter and admire the centerpiece. If you can't go to nature, nature will come to you. Renee smiles up at Dad, blue eyes twinkling with something oh so very much more than casual co-workerness. I'm working on getting him to go outside at least once a day, but this little introvert is as stubborn as he is sweet. Dad giggles. Giggles. And that's about enough for me. I want to vomit. I want to yell. I want to stomp my foot and throw a tantrum, like I'm 12 again. In some ways, I never stopped being that kid whose dad left during the summer between 6th and 7th grade. It doesn't matter that Mum wanted him to, because I didn't. Dad blinks down at me, waiting for a smile I can't give. I won't ruin tonight. Not for him. Not for Izzy. Not even for Renee. I will swallow this feeling, wash it down with garlic bread, and hope it stays down. Izzy, let me show you the rest of the house. I turn on my heel and grab her arm a little rougher than I mean to. I don't let go. She's the only thing grounding me right now, and I'm afraid if I do, I'll be lost in a choppy sea, or maybe even a storm. I'm a terrible tour guide, I point and grunt like a Neanderthal, saying things like bathroom and bedroom and hallway. My brain is moving through sludge, trying to process what just happened. Thankfully, Izzy seems to pick up on that and drags me into my room, sits me down on the bed, and kicks the door shut. Okay, you need to do some breathing. She places the heel of her hand on my back and rubs in slow circles. I don't want her to see me like this, and I don't want to be like this. I want to be fun and breezy Steph. She's a guest here, but she's the one trying to make me feel at home. Good old oxygen will do wonders for you, she says into my ear. I take a ragged breath and, well, she's not wrong. My head begins to clear almost immediately. You want to talk about it? She asks. I shake my head. Talking about it implies that there is anything to talk about. Dad got a girlfriend. So what? He's allowed. He's divorced. And besides that, Mum, well, she's not a factor. Should she be a factor? Talk to me about something else then. Izzy kisses the top of my head, then pushes off the bed to examine my room. It doesn't look any different from when I moved in. The pride sign Izzy brought me is on the top of my dresser. I've taped some drawings to the walls, sketches for the drugstore makeup logo, a new villain for the campaign I'm running, a rough doodle of Izzy I did when she was in the zone writing a new song last week. Her fingers trail over the portrait of her, then land on the vinyl resting place poster. The one she gave me the first time we met. Well, this can go in the trash. She tugs it from its thumbstack, tearing the top. Why do you even have this? Oh, sorry, I say, without thinking. The apology stumbled out of me before I had time to decide if it's warranted. It was the first thing you ever gave me. Felt significant, I shrug. Izzy stares down at the poster, a mix of emotions flashing across her eyes. I think at first she's going to tear it up or storm out, or something else equally dramatic. But then her shoulders fall and she sighs. Guess I better give you some better stuff. I'm not really much of a stuff. I'm not really much for stuff these days, as you can tell. I gesture around the room. My suitcase in the corner is propped open with a pile of clothes still lying in it, and I've barely even attempted to fill the bookshelf. Yeah, why is that? Izzy asks, plopping down on the bed beside me. The truth fizzles on my tongue. Her fingers slide between mine, and she gives my hand an encouraging squeeze. But I still can't give voice to the real reason this room is mostly empty. Why I haven't unpacked. Maybe it's because I don't really know why myself. Sorry, I missed something. Maybe it's because I don't really know why myself. Instead, I shrug and say, stuff is just stuff, right? Izzy gives me a quizzical look. I guess I just thought because you have so much personality it would show more in your space. But this room is like, it barely even scratches the surface of who you are. More like you're just staying here instead of actually living here. And there it is. She hit the nail on the head. I flop onto my back and stare up at the bare ceiling, suddenly very interested in the bumpy texture. It's like a topographical map with ridges and valleys, and little towns near the ocean that can be swept away in a storm. Tears prickle at the edge of my eyes, but I can't cry, not in front of Izzy, not about this. So I plaster a smile on my face, tugging Izzy down next to me, cushioning her fall with my arm. Okay, I'll play consumerist. What kind of stuff do you think I should get, Miss Interior Decorator? Well, some more pride shit for a start. She snuggles in close, her hair falling against my chest. The home of Steph Gingrich should be colourful and loud. Describe it to me. My fingers trail down her arm, tracing a constellation of her freckles. Paint me a word picture, Izzy Margolis. Her hand finds purchase on my stomach, and she whispers against my throat, each word a kiss. Steph's house is a happy place. She has a lesbian flag hanging on the door and a welcome mat that says, "You're here, I'm queer." Inside, there's a big comfy couch in the living room and a record player. She's got one of those antique arcade machines that only takes quarters, and she definitely collects when her friends come over to party. Her hand inches up my body as she travels from the living room to the kitchen. Wait. Is that a euphemism or... I think that's a euphemism. She has an espresso machine and too many mugs, all with cute little things on them saying like T-Rex or Live Laugh Lesbian. On the kitchen table, she has a big centerpiece, and not flowers. It's rainbow and it says Pride in rainbow letters, just in case anyone missed the other really subtle hints that she's gay. What about her bedroom? I ask quietly, as her hand finds my face and she strokes a finger along my jaw. What does it look like in there? Well, there's a big cozy fur rug on the ground, purple, the kind that feels like a cloud on bare feet, and there's a desk where she can sketch, with all her coloured pencils in a vase like a bouquet of flowers. The bookshelf is covered in little glass apothecary jars filled with dice. There's a basket for her drumsticks near the door, and a beanie on every surface. Izzy nuzzles closer into the hollow of my throat, fingers trailing across my clavicles and sliding just under the edge of my collar. The bedside table has a vintage stained glass lamp and a book of Sappho's poetry. And the bed is made up with black and purple bedding, and oh, what's this? There's a girl in there. Huh? I manage, my breath catching as her lips tickle my skin. Tell me more about her. Is she hot? You tell me. Izzy pushes herself up on her elbows and rolls above me, catching my gaze and holding it. Her voice is quiet, but her eyes are loud. Like every time she looks at me, a party starts inside her irises. I rise up to catch her mouth with mine, too overcome to think about this imaginary room. If Izzy's with me, I don't really care about my surroundings. I don't care about a lot of things, like the fact that my dad's finally moved on while I still can't, or the fact that the last time I had stuff in my room, it all got swept away by a storm. Izzy pulls away and presses our foreheads together, breath heavy between us. Yeah, okay, I say, eyes still closed. Pretty damn hot. More importantly, Izzy eases off me and pulls me up with her. This girl really likes you. She thinks you're cool and that you deserve to have stuff you like, even if you don't think so. I blink my eyes open to see her smoothing out the wrinkles in her shirt and running a finger along her lipstick line. I want to pull her back down, wreck both our faces with smudge makeup and ruin her shirt. So when we finally feel like putting clothes on again, she has to wear one of mine. But Izzy's already opening the door and waving me forward. Come on, I can smell meatballs. I follow, pausing at the threshold to look back at my room, trying to see it through Izzy's eyes. The room she imagined for me seems so perfect, like somehow she knows me better than I know myself. Or maybe I'm just a fraud, pretending to be the kind of girl Izzy likes, and sooner or later she'll realize I'm just like my room, a blank canvas. I'm taking down a string of paper sunflowers at save point when the door swings open and the victory theme music nearly knocks me off my feet. It's nothing to the to the shock I feel when I turn around to see who's arrived. Renee stands in the doorframe holding a bouquet of chrysanthemums and a card. "Oh, good, I call you," she says with a smile that lights up her eyes, like she's genuinely glad to see me. Like nothing could make her gladder. This place is so fun, very you. I want to say she doesn't know me well enough to say that, but she's not wrong. Instead, I head for the counter to take her order. The sooner I make her a drink, the sooner she'll leave. What can I get for you? Renee glances at the menu, then back at me. What do you like? I shrug and point at a list of lattes we ordered. The vicious mocha-ri is good or expeditious treat. What's your favorite? Probably Tasha's hideous latte. Renee nods. Great. I'll have a dextery tea for now. And I've got your next latte, as hideous as you want. Something gums up inside me at the gesture. Oh, that's really nice of you, but you don't have to. Please, Renee holds up her hand. I want to, if it's okay with you, and I'd really like to talk, but again, only if you do. There's no pressure. But of course there is pressure, whether she means there to be or not. Dad isn't here in the coffee shop with us, and honestly, if he was, maybe it would be easier to laugh this off and shoo her away. If there's one thing my dad and I can almost always agree on, it's the value of not talking about our feelings. It's cool, we're not busy, you can take a break. Ollie gives me a thumbs up and a smile. I glower at him the whole time I'm making my latte, but he doesn't seem to notice. He's made it to my shit list. Without a good excuse to blow her off, I finally make my way over to Renee and sit down opposite her, spilling a little of my latte over the edge of a mug. So, I say a little more brusquely than I intended. What's up? Renee carefully removes the tea bag from her mug, squeezing out the excess water and disposing it on the saucer before she answers me. First, I wanted to say thank you for welcoming me into your home the other night. I had such a lovely time, and it was great to get some FaceTime with you and Izzy. A knot pulls taut in my stomach at her words. Sorry about this. Damn throat. Because I wasn't welcoming, I wasn't lovely, I was barely present at all, and if anyone was welcoming and lovely, it was her with her garlic bread and her floral arrangements. I think I might be getting something. An apology sticks in my throat, even though it's not my fault. I didn't know she was going to be there. I didn't know that was even a possibility. I didn't know, and it's because Dad didn't tell me. I know it meant a lot to your dad, Renee continues, seemingly unaware of the impact her words are having on me. He hasn't stopped talking about how proud he is of you. Really? I look up from my mug. That's, surprising, doubtful, weird, nice. Renee catches my eye and peers at me thoughtfully. I think, the surprise, doubtful, weird is in her head, and then when she says, nice, that's what she's just saying, you know. Renee catches my eye and peers at me thoroughly. You and your dad don't talk much, do you? I shake my head, afraid if I tell her exactly how much it will be some breach of the social contract between fathers and daughters who haven't had a substance conversation since before the last Game of Thrones book came out. In fact, I could possibly find a way to blame our strained relationship on media. Books and film are really the only things we have to enjoy together, and I bet without them we'd have to actually talk about shit. Well, I don't mean to meddle, but I get the impression he wishes that was different. My whole body tenses. Yeah? Well, maybe you should try giving me a heads up before next time he decides to invite his girlfriend to dinner instead of springing it on me like we live in a fucking haunted house. It's so much more than I mean to say, but the floodgates are open and I can't stop. I didn't even know he was dating. I didn't know he wanted to. So maybe instead of sending you here to make nice of me, he should do it himself. That is incredibly fair. Renee wears her surprise well, leaning back in her chair, brows raised, eyes wide. She takes a slow sip of her tea, wiping her mouth on a paper napkin before she speaks again. I don't want to interfere with something that's not my business, so I'll just say this. I have a complex family dynamic myself, and I know how strange it can be when someone new comes into the mix. I'm seeing your dad, and I know that might be weird, but I hope we can get to know each other too. Yeah, sure, I say, voice tight. We don't have to be best friends or anything, she adds quickly, sensing my hesitation. I'm definitely too old for all that partying you kids do. I know she's trying, and I know I should try right back, because that's what Dad will want me to do. But Dad's not here, and he hasn't told me what he wants, so instead I do what I want. I'm not a kid, and I'm not looking for a new mum. Of course not. You already have a mum, and I would never try to replace her. She pushes the flowers and card towards me on the table. Think about it, okay? Okay. I do. I think about it as I pull shots and wash dishes and wipe down tables. I think about it as I lock up and trudge back up the hill to Dad's house. I think about it as I pass Dad's room and hear the sounds of the opening score of Game of Thrones. And maybe if I wasn't thinking about it so much, I would have knocked on the door with a bowl full of popcorn and watched TV with my dad. But I can't help but wonder if Dad told Renee about Mum, if he's talked about Mum with Renee more than with me. So instead, I drift into my own room and let the door click shut behind me. I shiver a little and pull on a sweatshirt. Everyone in Westeros is always so worried about winter. Fools don't realize they have to contend with fall first. Oh, and speaking of fall, we're in a new season now. So chapter 10 is going to be in the fall season. Yeah, I gotta say, I don't like what this writer's done with Steph, because it's kind of the opposite of Chloe. So Steph, instead of her dad, lost her mum, and she's excuse me, kind of taking it out on her dad, because like Chloe's excuse was like it was a guy that like ran a red light and the truck hit hit her dad's car, killing him. And then Joyce moved on to David, and like, yeah, I kind of like David now. Like, I do have my problems with him in the beginning, but I do kind of like him now. But I can understand where Chloe's coming from. But like, even in the end, Chloe starts to warm up to David, but Steph is just like, hopefully she'll get back with her dad and Renee, and they can have a good relationship. But I just think like the writer's just purposely trying to put shit, like, because if you've read any modern day books, you know that's what they do. The guys always get shit on, like, don't know why. But anyways, that's the end of this chapter. Hope you all enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Oh, and and speaking of Chloe, I just want to say this. I do believe this theory that the car that the person that killed Chloe's dad is also the one that crashed into her and turned her into a paraplegic in the alternate timeline. But that's just a theory I have. I have no proof, but with the way like how time is, one small change can drastically change the future. I thought that'd be pretty interesting. But anyways, that's the end of this video. Hope you all enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. This is TotalGamerJunkie, signing off.